Welcome back, everybody. It's a great day here in Greenville, South Carolina. We're in the garage. It's nice and warm. Thanks for stopping in. If you're new to the channel, we cover a lot of car-related stuff, especially the Infiniti Q50 stuff. Pretty heavy on that type of content lately, so if that's what you're into, please subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay up to date. Got a lot of projects coming up, and today is no different. We got our first of several packages in today, and I'm very excited to open it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And while we're at it, we may as well do a little bit of an install video as well and get this ball rolling. Very excited, so let's go for it. While we're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. I appreciate that very much. Leave any of your thoughts and comments in the comments section below. I appreciate that as well. And also, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up on every single video you can. And if you want to leave a thumbs down, go ahead and do it. My only request is that if you do leave a thumbs down, let me know why you left a thumbs down. I've gotten a couple thumbs down in some recent videos, but no idea as to why. I want some feedback. You know, I want to create good content, enjoyable content, stuff that you enjoy, are interested in, and stuff that you're willing to leave me a thumbs up on. But if I don't know what you didn't like about it, I can't fix it. So any feedback is very much appreciated. But with that being said, let's get going. Thanks. So here it is, a box from my friends at Z1 Motorsport. Z1Motorsports.com. Let's open it up, see what it could possibly be. Not heavy enough to be wheels. Son of... So, postcard. A little bit of information. All right, enough delay. Let's do this. Here they are. Here they are. Post-MAF Z1 Motorsports silicone intake tubes. Let's get them out and look at it. I got black. I don't like to go too fancy in the engine bay. I just like subtle. They feel really nice. It's all reinforced rubber, so you don't have to worry about it necessarily collapsing on itself, if that would ever be an issue with an intake tube. But it feels like nice, high quality material. I like the Z1 logo, very subtle. Just how I expected them. From a couple of the videos I've seen, it looks like these Z1 tubes are a little bit too long for the Q50, but we'll find out. But first glance, it's really nice. I'm pleased so far and excited to have these. I'm excited to get moving forward. Nothing else in here except for a couple little Z1 logo decals. It's nice. Those are free. That's it. All right, let's open up the hood. So we're gonna replace these bad boys here. If you're not familiar with these cars, or you're new to these cars, or you're not experienced in modifying vehicles and installing, cold air intake kits or these types of intake tubes, the reason we're getting rid of this is obviously this ridged tube causes turbulence in the air as it enters your air box and goes through your filter, past your MAF, your mass airflow sensor, into this tube. These ribs cause turbulence in the air, and we want to streamline that process. So by getting rid of these and installing these nice smooth Z1 intake tubes. The air is going to flow nice and smooth right into your intake manifold and into your engine for a much more efficient process. I've heard that it changes the tone of your exhaust as well. We'll find out about that. But first, we're going to remove the shield, get rid of all these little plastic rivets, pop them out, take the shield off, loosen the air boxes up here, and we're going to disconnect the negative end of the battery. Anytime you're messing with anything that has to do with electronics, or you're changing something as far as the air intake, it's good to unplug the battery, plug it back in when you're finished and got everything wrapped up, and then you can fire the car up. And the car's computers these days are very smart, so it will try to relearn basically what's happening, what's going on with the system. So I just like to disconnect the battery anytime you do anything like this. I've talked about it before, but I just want to touch on it again since we're installing these types of parts. I didn't go with a cold air intake system or kit on this car because these Infinities, these Q50s, at least the 3.7 platform, the intake system is not all that bad the way it is, and they really haven't proven significant gains with a cold air intake system, and they're like $400 or more, and it's just check out my recent video I did about the dollar to horsepower ratio. It just doesn't make sense to spend $400 or $500 on a cold air intake to only get 2 or 3 horsepower after a tune. It's just not worth it. The air actually flows pretty well. In here, it's almost like a ram system. It's got a little port in here that goes directly into your air box. The front of this air box is wide open, and we'll see that in just a minute. But they flow pretty well the way they are from the factory. So just getting rid of some of this turbulence and these ribbed tubes is gonna make a world of difference. And Z1 intake tubes are only $100, so can't beat it. And when you couple them with some higher flowing drop-in filters, I have some ultra flow kind of no-name filters off Amazon. They seem to be doing a great job, but once we get ready to tune this car, we'll put in some K&N drop-ins and see what that does for us. But nonetheless, the system as is pretty good. No need to spend $400 or $500 on a cold air setup when you can spend $100 and get just as good results. Just need a 10mm socket to loosen up the nut on the negative battery terminal. Popped it. Convenient enough, it's just a 10mm bolt that holds the air box in place. There's also one tucked under here. We may not need to take that one off. This will give us enough flexibility to pull that tube off there. Same on the other side. One there, one tucked right under there. But let's not worry about those. And these are the filters I was talking about. They don't look too bad. The little wrinkle, that's kind of weird, but you can see how the air actually flows pretty well. It goes right in from the grill and through that that shield directly into the filter. So it flows pretty well as is. All right, let's get them loosened up. All right, see, there's quite a bit of flexibility here, even without loosening the tube. So get your flathead screwdriver, or I'm not sure if that's a 9, and loosen those up, and we'll loosen up that one there, and we should be able to pull this rubber tube right off. You might need a pliers to hit that, take that clamp off, but easy enough. All right, we'll do this portion of it in real time so you can see how simple it is. Yeah, we could hit these clamps and loosen up this half of the box, but we're going to try to do it with just keeping the box assembled here. And we'll see what happens. Loosen that up. that's loose. That's pretty tight for the fingers. Wheel nose. Try not to break anything. I thought we were going to be able to get away with without having to take this top off, but just for convenience, I'm going to take the engine cover off too. All right, engine cover off. Again, just 10mm bolts, easy. Yeah, okay, so this is much easier to get to the engine cover on. Just trying to rotate it a little so I can get a better grip on it. Jeez Louise. There. Finally, go, dang. Okay. There we go. One gone. I don't know if you can see in there the ribs. Eliminating that. Not sure if we'll need this clamp, so we'll just take it off. And take your pipe clamps off as well. I got these new gloves the other day from my favorite store, Walmart. Not sure why I wasn't wearing them. All right, let's keep going. Stay on task. Doesn't hurt to clean up a little bit with a rag while you're in here. It's just some dust and stuff. All right, I did undo the clips and open up the airbox so we can get this chunk out of the way, just so we got a little more room to move. Now this is where other people have made mistakes. I've watched a couple tutorials on these and noticed something that just was not right. Let me go over that and show you real quick. So these intake tubes come like this with a metal fitting in them. They slide on here to the throttle body. And then you have this box here, which is like valve cover, ventilation, whatever you want to call it. The blow by or air comes back through and back through the throttle body and the engine. I guess you could technically put a filter, a small filter down here on your valve cover and just leave it and get rid of this whole box altogether. We're not going to. But what you don't do is this, and you don't take that metal thing out and jam this plastic tube onto the intake tube. What we did, and what we're going to do, is just remove this box completely. Get rid of this completely. Don't ruin it, because you may want to put it back on eventually someday. You're left with this hose. Get rid of that too. What you need is this. It's a 6-foot roll, 5/8 inch heater hose. It's after tax about $7 at O'Reilly's. Okay. Now this will allow you to cut the length that works for you. Having this piece here, trying to mess with it, shorten it up, go against some of these bends, it's just a hassle. So spending the $7 on this heater hose is going to make life a whole lot easier. So what we do know is that the intake tube, these Z1 tubes, are a little bit too long. So we're gonna dry fit it up with the air box, make sure everything fits lengthwise, and then we'll kind of take a measurement and we'll shorten it up. I think probably gonna have to take a 1/2 inch to 1 inch off, and then we'll mess with this hose here. Lengthwise, it doesn't seem to be all that bad. It gets me back to the box. Where it seems to be an issue is getting it to fit this way, laterally. So instead of shortening it, I may just cut kind of like a pie-shaped section off there. So we'll try that first. Just a little bit at a time. All right, so that worked. I did cut a little sliver, a little pie-shaped sliver off of this section here. I would say that's probably not necessary. It worked out just fine. But what I did end up doing was taking this amount off the end, which is 1/4 inch, I would say. So not much, and it fits up perfectly. The box is latched. It's flush and flush all the way up here at the throttle body. So we'll just throw the clamps on and get that in place. But now what we need to do is get a measurement from the little port down there on the valve cover up to here, and we'll cut the hose to length. So this comes in 6-foot lengths. It's reinforced hose, so it'll do the trick. I'm going to just get an approximation by using the old one, and figure it needs to be about that long. We'll cut it, and you can always trim. So cut the hose about 21, 22 inches long. I know I said I was going to use this as an approximation, but cut it this long, and you'll see why. All right, we got our length of hose clamped down on the valve cover. We're going to just keep it out of the way. Again, about 21, 22 inches long. Let's go ahead and get our air filter put back in the box. Let's put our big hose clamps back on as well. All right, got our hose clamps on. Sliding this up onto the throttle body. Adjust your clamp. We'll just go ahead and tighten this one down. Close our box up, and then we'll tighten this one up. I'm sure you can see what's going on here. Yep. Try not to break your tabs or anything off the bottom of your air box. There you go. Okay, clamped into place. Kind of hide the screws of the clamps just to keep it clean. Tuck it down in here. Still want access to it, of course. Now this is why I said to keep the hose long at 22 inches. Let's put the clamp on. still plenty of room. Now, so keep it long so you don't crimp it, and you can just maneuver it right through here. It slides on nicely. It sits low enough to where it's not going to block anything. Take a look at this. So the hose comes up and around, tucks in nicely right here. It's not crimped. You know, it's open, and that's all that matters really. I guess you could put it on the outside of this, but it just fits nicely right in there. Bam. Again, it's just taking ventilation and blow by from your valve cover, so it's not. You know, it's nothing crazy to where this little bit of where it flattened out a bit isn't going to harm it at all. It's not closed. The air still flows freely, and there's no crimpage. So there you go. You could even shorten it technically and relieve all the crimp, but it sits pretty nice just like that. All right, passenger side is finished. Not too bad. I did wrap some tape around the hose in this area. I decided to leave it above rather than push it down because this is metal here and it's not, it is kind of jagged. And just because there may be some vibration, I put several layers of tape on here just for some reinforcement, because although it's not a major deal coming from the valve cover, like I said, you could just technically put a filter down there, but they're like 25 bucks a piece at O'Reilly, so I didn't go that route. But you could just put a filter to your valve cover and plug this hole, and that would be fine. But what you don't want is a vacuum leak of any kind, so you don't want there to be any holes in this hose. So if this were to rub through, you know, and create a hole of any kind, even a pinhole, and you know, this having quite a bit of suction coming into your engine, it would pull air from the engine bay and it would mess up your MAF readings, your MAF readings, and that would cause an issue. So you don't want that, so I use a little bit of tape to help prevent that extra wear and tear, and we'll just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to do the driver's side now. Hopefully it is just as simple. If anything weird comes up, I'll film that, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to be basically just a mirrored process on the other side, so there shouldn't be an issue. But like I said, if anything pops up, I'll film it and let you know about it. So just stay tuned, and then we'll close this bad boy out. Crazy, but on the driver's side, the setup looks a little bit different. So loosen up the hose clamps just like normal, you know, pop the box loose, and then just take this clamp off and pull the box off with them. We'll take a look at the hose underneath after. This side has an extra line. So these, I imagine, are kind of a filter of some kind. This has an additional one. I might see if I can keep this one in line, just because there's two here. So let's just see how we can run this hose. Okay, I have the perfect solution for this side. So you do, in fact, on this side, want to take this metal nipple, there's metal fitting, out of your Z1 intake tube. Set that off to the side. You had your original assembly, which was something like this. This hose goes down to your valve cover, and then this poked in the side here. This happens to line up perfectly. If you can see, there you go, the little neck right there. We'll get a clamp on here, but this is to show you. If you push this back down in here, under your valve cover neck, this lines up perfectly to slide in here. And we'll put a clamp there as well, but bam, we'll put that in tight and you're all set. So we'll leave that for now, and let's make sure we get the length of this correct, and then we'll button it up. All right, I had to cut another 1/4 of an inch, maybe just a hair more on this side as well. I think we can get it buttoned up. Again, this is going to fit right in there. I did put a clamp on down below, so we're all set. This is super tight. I don't think there's any need to clamp it. I can pop it off there and do it, but I think we're all set. I will show you when we are all finished. So this one, got it fit up tight, but you are gonna have to, or at least I had to, take out this other bolt for the airbox just to get this to move enough to where I could latch the box. One more look at it before we put the engine cover back on. Not too bad. So that was able to fit up perfectly with the clamp. Again, took about 1/4 of an inch off, no big deal. Definitely undoing the boxes, the air boxes, are gonna make a huge difference, just giving you a little extra wiggle room. So for a couple extra seconds, I would take the time to loosen those up. It'll prevent a lot of headaches. They look pretty sharp. There we go. All right, guys, that's it. I'm very excited to start getting going on some of these modifications. So I was glad to get a chance to do this today, but also knowing that there are very few videos online, at least good ones, as far as how to install these intake tubes. I thought it'd be beneficial to make one, and hopefully there's some value in it, and hopefully this one is helpful. It's a little more step-by-step, a little more in-depth than the ones I could find. I wanted to make sure it covered all the bases and showed all the little things that you might run into here or there. Some people say these are a pain to install, and they might be a pain to install if you're not sure what to expect and you open it up and you find a bunch of things that you have to mess around with. But I would say go for it, get these tubes. They fit good. You just have to trim them a little bit, and you got to loosen some things up. That's no big deal. And buy that pack of a 6-foot heater hose. That was a lifesaver, honestly. So you don't have to mess with all those pre-bent hoses and stuff that's on these cars already. It just makes the job much easier. But with that being said, if you have any questions in terms of the installation, wonder how I did anything or want any more details, leave your questions in the comment section. I'll be glad to help you out as best I can. But yeah, there we go. We're all done. I'm gonna fire it up and see how it sounds, if it made any difference. But we'll get out and drive it tomorrow. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.